From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hey everyone, welcome to podcast number 44 of the Anxiety Project podcast. I am so happy to be here with you today. I am Brad Robinson, and thank you for tuning in this week. This one is all about dependency. Now, when I was going through anxiety, I was very, very dependent on other people. I always asked them about my health concerns. I was going by what they thought was right and not what I felt was right. So I didn't have my own secure footing in this world. I didn't. I was following other people, going with society, and not really having a voice of my own. And that's so important to develop that voice. That is what anxiety recovery entails, to discover that voice, to implement and cement new, strong, powerful values, which then cement new, powerful, strong beliefs. But I was just going with the flow, and that was not good. So being dependent, you know, you're needing that reassurance from others, right? And you know, you also have that need for acceptance and the need to feel wanted and to fit in. So you might be too agreeable. I certainly was. I was way too agreeable when I was my old self. And these needs and wants, this all forms your identity, you know, this state, you know, the need to be accepted and to feel wanted and reassurance. This all forms your identity. So, you know, fears present themselves when you want to change, when you step out of your comfort zone into uncertainty, then the resistance shows up. You know, you then think, if I change, I may lose that feeling of wholeness with those around me. If I change, I may lose my relationships with friends and family, and I'm afraid of failing, you know, letting my family down. These are thoughts that come up once you know, I should change, but, you know, then you're afraid of failing, then you're afraid of losing relationships. So that keeps you in that anxious state. It keeps you stagnant. Then there are also other fears below that. You know, there could be deeper fears such as the fear of dying and the fear of the unknown. And so this can keep you from changing. This keeps you stuck. I was very dependent on the people in my life. I was dependent on friends. I was dependent on family and previous relationships. And it was all that I knew, to rely on my parents for reassurance and relying on friends for that is escapism. You know, I used to go to them and go see them and smoke weed and watch movies and eat junk food. And that was like escapism. And then I was living this Peter Pan lifestyle. I didn't want to grow up. I didn't want to take on the responsibility. So these patterns all ran unconsciously within me. These were habits. Well, the unconscious runs on habits. It makes us automated, right? Do you ever feel like you're automated, that your time has passed by so quickly and you don't know where the time went? You've been automated. So our unconscious runs on habits. And that's so important to know. So any other information other than the information you run on now is going to be fearful. It's going to be fearful. It's resistance is going to show up because the unconscious will be like, you know what, let's just stick to what you know already and not go that direction. So we keep running the same old record. And we need to start to scratch that record by implementing new productive habits so that you can start to move in the opposite direction and play a different record, a new record. And that's important to know. Every day when I experienced severe anxiety, this led to reassurance seeking. I was constantly asking my family if I was healthy. Am I healthy? What if this pain is a disease? What if this mole is cancer? What if I am actually going crazy? What if I'm dying? And I kept my family close because of that. I kept them close. They were telling me, everything's going to be okay. Everything, you went to the doctor, you got checked out, everything looks great. And that would make me feel good for a short period of time. But after an hour or so, you go back and you phone them up. Or once you feel that panic come, you will phone them, and then they will provide you with the support in that time of chaos. And that just becomes a bad habit. So my family was a safety blanket. And then they viewed me as this anxious, dependent guy. So that just strengthened my identity even more. That they viewed me as this anxious guy, as this dependent guy. Because I relied on them for support all the time. This is a very bad habit. And this habit even stemmed from my childhood. I relied on them to help me with homework and other challenges that I faced. And this just stemmed from when I was a little kid. And so I was very dependent for a long, long time of my life. This dependency that I had, it was a habit for 15 years. Since I was a kid, more than 15 years. Throughout my whole life, it used to be a habit and I grew up that way. So how can you move away from that dependent self and move towards being more independent? Well, take on the responsibility of your anxiety. Take on the responsibility. Sign a contract with yourself for 3 months. Saying, you know what? I'm going to dedicate 3 months to getting myself knowledgeable and to recover from this challenge I now face. That's a huge step. Just acknowledging that you have a problem and that you need to get better. Sign it and date it. and put it on your wall so that your unconscious sees it every day. Get yourself knowledgeable. Understand why you're feeling the way that you are. So now that you took on the responsibility, now you got to get yourself knowledgeable. Understand, why you're feeling the way you're feeling. I began by sitting outside and writing notes while listening to self-help podcasts. I studied. And you need to study as well. Listen to all of my podcasts, the Anxiety Project podcast. Go to the YouTube channel, the Anxiety Project. Watch the videos, take notes, and then take those notes with you throughout the day. Then the paradigm shift occurs, the aha moments. I can't believe I've been doing those habits for so long. I can't believe I've been seeing the world that way. So once you start to know and learn about the anxiety you currently face, the aha moments come. And these are paradigm shifts. You start to shift your perspective of the world. The way you see the world shifts. The doors to your mind open up and you now see things differently. That is progress. I remember going to sleep listening to podcasts. That's all I did all the time. I looked at it like I was studying for a movie role. I was preparing for this character, right? That's what actors do. They study the character. They listen to, if it's a real life character, they'll listen to the person on tape. Or, if they're going to be a police officer in a movie, they go on ride-alongs for months and they sit with actual police officers and they hang out with them and they learn from them. And that's what anxiety recovery is. It's about learning. It's about doing new habits and finding out what works and what doesn't work and adjusting your strategies as you go along. But it's all about moving yourself away from that old you and into and towards that new you, right? You're studying to be someone completely new. You're shifting yourself 180. So it takes a lot of work and you got to do it every day. It's a 24/7 job. Anxiety, recovery, it's all the time, every day. You have to work hard at it. So your resistance to change will loosen up once you open up to the new knowledge from the podcasts, from the books, and the habits you now decide to take on by modeling after inspirational people that have gone through the same thing you're going through, and by opening yourself up to the knowledge they're providing, you then begin to act out the how. The how. And the how is, how did these models recover from anxiety? How did they do it? And now you have to act it out. Begin acting out the routines that worked for them. As you build yourself up by setting small incremental goals, you will start to see yourself change. You will begin breaking through new levels and thus breaking through old paradigms that have been a source for false security. You will begin seeing yourself in a new light, that you are able to overcome these challenges. you will gain more self-respect once you see yourself progressing. That was one thing that really made me happy, because once you see yourself progressing, you get a dopamine rush. You get a dopamine rush. You become proud of yourself that, hey, look how far I've come. And to recognize these steps and the breakthroughs that come along in anxiety recovery, to recognize the breakthroughs, you feel proud. So you gain more self-respect. You start seeing yourself differently. And that was huge for me. I started to see myself progress and develop and face fearful obstacles. And I started to trust myself more. And then I started to trust my body more, because then I started to challenge myself with healthier foods and then facing uncomfortable situations more often every day, because my perspective changed. I knew that I had to face the dragons of chaos. I knew I had to face these uncomfortable situations in order for my brain to develop new neural pathways that support growth and strength and confidence. So it was all about stepping, for me and for everyone I work with, it was all about stepping into the unknown and facing what you fear the most. Then the answers will come forth. Holding on to others that keep you safe and keep you in your safe zone only strengthens your fears. The baby dragons grow into adults while you stay in your safe space. Now that the baby dragons are adults, they are more scary to face and confront, but you must face them in order to become more independent. It is all about moving away from the old you and implementing new habits that strengthen the higher you, your future self. And that's how you move in that direction to become more independent. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's podcast episode. Remember, do not let anxiety define who you are, and I will see you next week on podcast number 45. Thank you so much. For more podcast episodes, for more video content, and one-on-one coaching with me via Skype, visit www.unpluganxiety.com for everything you need to know about ending anxiety naturally. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.